We're not using the, good morning, I didn't, hello. Everything electronic up, please, and, we're not gonna use this piece of paper for a while, today, but we will. So just keep it, put it aside, it won't make sense to you now. Okay. Everybody have a book? I'm gonna go around the room, I'm gonna tell you right now what I'm gonna ask each of you to tell me. And I'm talking only about your intimacy. It's like someone you love. I love the way you have that freckle right here. I love the way your hair waves just here. Okay, we're gonna be intimate with the book. Harper, I want you to tell me what you're the most confident about, that you understand about the text. But you're if you were just given a page or two to look at, and you got to choose them, and to write a commentary that would go on for 5 hours beforehand, where are you the most confident? Where are you the most confident? What part of the play could you say, could you take in front of you and analyze? Think about it for a minute. I'm gonna go around and ask you, because I don't want to touch on that. Nothing like having a teacher tell you all theory of what you've already been over. And you all have read the play, right? Okay. What table wants to go first?
Okay.
All right, go first. Just tell me don't have to go in great detail. Just tell me the textual part.
But like the aspect that I write about?
Well, yeah, the text. What text would you be the most comfortable writing about? What part of the text?
Oh, well, I mean, I was just gonna yell feminism, but like, yeah, I mean, I go into the
But
feminist aspect
what part of feminism? What particular what part of the play would you use as your touchstone? What text would you use as your text?
Like a quote or a character? Because I'd use Ophelia.
You use Ophelia? What in Ophelia? What text in Ophelia?
Oh, that's my memory's the worst in that kind of way.
No, the reason I'm doing this is to point out to you, you're right about what you're gonna say, but you have to have the lines.
I have to have the lines.
Okay, what else?
Okay, I don't have the lines, but like it's the part where Hamlet kind of he hesitates on getting revenge on Claudius.
What is Claudius doing when he has the right, when he could just go end it right there?
He's praying.
That's right.
Yeah.
But he's actually not praying. That's the irony. I can't pray because I'm not willing to give up the sin. Okay.
Oh, I was gonna talk about the irony of how like Ophelia dies, and then the Christian way, and then like the grave diggers are saying how like it's ironic because she's a Christian and then she committed suicide, but we're burying her the Christian way. If that makes sense.
Yeah, and the reason she shouldn't be, I'm not judging her, but the reason she shouldn't be allowed a Christian burial is she committed suicide. We're gonna get into that. Yes, sir.
I think there's a part when like Hamlet's like debating like whether he should like commit suicide or not.
At least to be or not to be. Whether okay. And you would like that text and it shows all the different reasons of why.
There's like a philosophical part of that.
Also shows he's pretty miserable and lonely. Slings and airs of outrageous fortune. Yes, sir.
I think I'll probably talk about Hamlet's death.
Hamlet's death? What about Hamlet's death? It's Shakespeare, everybody dies.
Maybe about the part where he's like his downfall, the to be or not to be.
Okay. He almost wills his death in the sense that he knows he's going to be killed, but he doesn't know it's going to be about poison snake. Go ahead.
The
partners in his like that makes everyone the same. Now we all do.
Oh, at the grave scene. Grave death is the leveler. When they're at the grave scene and they hold up Yorick, the court jester's skull, I'm there with everybody else, with the kings. Okay, yes, ma'am. The motherly aspect of Queen Gertrude, and can we put that in, parentheses? All right, Ms. Wacky.
Probably about the part where he was like talking with his father's ghost, and then like talking about if he should like avenge.
Where the ghost says, avenge my most horrible death, and Hamlet said, oh, my prophetic soul, I knew something had gone on. I knew. It's the first time he has a clue that he's been murdered. He's been mourning his father's death and his mother's or hasty marriage, like 2.5 hours or something. I'm a little exaggerated. But then when the ghost says, avenge my most horrible death, and Hamlet said, I was murdered. And Hamlet says, oh, my prophetics, I knew. I just knew. Couldn't prove it, but I knew. He still can't prove it. How do you know this, Hamlet? Well, the ghost told me. Oh, okay, come on. All right, go ahead.
I wanted to talk about the loyalty of Queen Gertrude and how she marries Claudius so quickly. I've found a lot of articles talking about whether it was for monetary benefit or if she had some underlying message.
Maybe lust. Hamlet even tells her, hey, mama, at your age, the heyday of the blood should have already passed. What are you doing? Going to have sex with this idiot over here. In other words, he's saying, you've already gone through the menopause. What in the world are you having sex with him for? You know, so he's pretty blunt about that, is he not? Okay. I love how dainty you were talking about it, though. You'll be the star at the DART. All right, yes.
I think the parts where like the guards first interact with like the ghost and the king, and kind of like they're reacting to it. It's kind of interesting to me.
Yeah, well, they don't know what to. They don't know what to think. And tomorrow we're going to get into Horatio a lot and how they call him in. And why do they call Horatio? It's very important. Horatio's a fabulous character. Yes.
I also found that the group to be pretty interesting because it reveals a lot about Hamlet and his character and how he's different.
And now he has pretty thought pretty deeply about death, has he not? Okay.
The play within the play where he gets Claudius to show that he is guilty. I think that's
Very clever. When I want to catch something, yes, very clever. Where you can insert some lines in a play that aren't really there. Yes, ma'am. Yeah.
Probably just, I guess there's along with what Michael said about the ghost, I don't know if you mentioned like you just basically, you know, like the ghost will, I don't know how to say it, like he wants you to remember it.
Okay, he wants somebody to know what happened.
Yeah, and
And he's kind of in purgatory now because he wasn't able to confess all of his sins at that time. And so he's still walking halfway between earth and heaven because he wasn't able to confess his sins.
Hamlet's to be around me. So
Okay.
I liked what Kaya said about the play within play about showing he's guilty.
Okay. Now, do you realize what we're doing here?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, I'll give you a turn.
I know it's only all in the last two, but also the play within the play. I did like it. Sorry.
You liked it a lot.
Yeah, I know. But yeah, I like how it goes into. I kind of feel like in a way it's a play within a play, but that interplay has an underlying cause or meaning for it, and so that kind of made me think, oh, what is he trying to say about the big play in there?
Big play. And none of you have mentioned the play, when you're talking about the plays that you can't, I mean, I just mentioned one thing. Come on, you can't. No, that's what you wanted. No. But there's a very interesting interchange between Hamlet and Ophelia play, when they're watching the play together. So we'll talk about that. Now, the, as with Virginia Woolf and Death of the Salesman, a lot of this is about family. And we have three very major families here. We've got Hamlet the First, who married Gertrude. She had an affair with the brother Claudius, and that Claudius killed Hamlet the First. But Prince Hamlet is trying to work all that out. Now, what we do know, remember what the ghost said to Hamlet the First. Excuse me, Prince Hamlet. He said, yeah, they were sleeping together. Yeah, But as for the murder, very famous line, and there's even been a movie and a book written using this title, leave her to heaven. As for your mother ought, leave her to heaven. That means don't kill her, because I don't know. We don't know if she had anything to do with plotting the murder. Do you remember that line? Very important when they were out there in the light. Now, the other family that lives in the castle is the Lord Chamberlain, kind of a chief of staff, Polonius, and he is raising two teenage children by himself. One of them is Laertes, who goes to school in Paris at the Sorbonne, because it was the only university there at that time. And then Ophelia, who lives in the palace and is Hamlet's girlfriend. To what extent is she the girlfriend? We'll come back to that in a minute. And then we have over here a family that is often neglected in talking about it. But we have Fortinbras the First, who was the king of Norway, who was killed in a battle by Hamlet the First over land. And Fortinbras the First is dead. Sorry about that. And so, but for taking over for him is his brother, referred to as Old Norway. But he's the king of Norway now. And then we have Fortinbras II, or Prince Fortinbras, who is trying to retake the lands that were stolen from his father. Any questions or any disagreement with me about what I just said? Okay. The first, let's see, Hamlet the First is on, sorry about that. Now, the very first time that we see Hamlet, and this is, have y'all gone over that scene in detail the first time we meet Hamlet? Well, you need to have it up here, because when a play is called Hamlet, and the main character, you have a good feeling it's gonna be about Hamlet, right? I took AP English, IB English. Anyway, when Hamlet comes in for the first time, his mother is queen and his stepfather is king, and they're sitting there in the throne room, the big reception room, and Hamlet comes in. And Claudius has said, oh, Hamlet, oh, my dear son, and my dear nephew, and now my son, I want you to think of me as a father. And Hamlet is over here, not in front of him, and I've never seen a play where he is just kind of like this up at the side. A little more than kin and less than kin. In other words, I'm too much kin. Being an uncle was okay, but a father was too much. A little more than kin, less than kin. And then Claudius wants to get him. Say, oh, come on, Hamlet. How come the clouds still hang over you? Hamlet says, Hamlet's smart. Nay, sir, I am too much in the sun. Again, pun, play on words. I'm too much in the sun, S-U-N, but too much in the S-O-N. I don't want to be your son. I had a father. I don't want to think of you as a father. And then the mother, Gertrude, steps in. Isn't it, when we have and I don't wanna know, how many of you have had stepmothers and stepfathers? But if you're the mother and you have a stepfather, that you want the child and the stepfather to get along, no. You want them to bond, go to baseball games together, go fishing together. You want that. So you try too hard. Gertrude says, oh, come on, Hamlet. Everybody knows that it's common that everybody's father must die sometime. And Hamlet says, and I don't even know if you know this word. You don't come. Aye, madam, 'tis common. Now, your interpretation of common might be what happens all the time. Does anybody know another definition of common? I don't want to tell you what you already know. Huh? Ordinary, that's the same thing, but it's got a more negative, when I was growing up, I was lucky enough to have my two grandmothers alive for most of my life, or young life. And I just remember both of them being pretty old fashioned, pretty wanting things to be proper and wanting to be married. You need to go home, comb your hair. Oh, Mary, Mary, your skirt's a little bit too short. Or Mary, why don't you, instead of your tennis shoes, we didn't call them sneakers, and tennis shoes, why don't you put on your dress shoes? But it just might look nicer. I just loved them so much. Oh, they were just so who they were, and I'm sure they were very, very disappointed in me 9/10 of the time. But that being said, I remember one time bringing home a friend, and I'd never had this friend home before, and she was kind of known. All the boys liked her. I'm not sure all the boys liked her. But there's an age where that becomes important. And even though you've never been good friends with anybody before, all of a sudden there's always that one girl, just like when we were talking about Mango Street last year, Sally. There's always that one girl that steps out before anybody else, 5th grade, 6th grade. And all the boys, I didn't pay any attention to this girl. But she asked her to go to the movie with me. So we picked her up, and she came back to my house to play. I don't know what she thought playing was, but I met with dolls and, climbing trees. And I remember my grandmother said to my mother, I overheard it. Well, I think she's somewhat common. Now, that I had a bad, asked my mother later, it just meant she's had a lot of friends, she's not very, when she makes choices, she pretty much goes, in other words, she's a loose woman, okay? And so, and my grandmother would never have said that to me, but said it to my mother, and didn't want my reputation to be, I knew how to ruin my own reputation, didn't matter who it ran around. But the very fact that I know 'tis common, he's almost called his mother a whore. And then when we, the first soliloquy that he has, after he has, then the uncle says, realizes that something is wrong. And so he says, oh, Hamlet, we love having you here so much. We love having you here so much. Please stay here with us and don't go back to Wittenberg. University of Wittenberg, that's in Germany. And of course, that's the university started by Martin Luther. And the Reformation, God, that's Freudian, isn't it? Reformation. And so, so he said, okay, I'll stay here. And then when he has his very first soliloquy, all he talked about the to be or not to be. But the very first soliloquy he has after he's left the big court scene, he says, "Oh, that this tutu sullied flesh would melt and melt into everlasting view, or that the everlasting hath not set his cannon against self-slaughter." In other words, oh, that it could just melt and not be, or that it were not a mortal sin to commit suicide. Now, I want you to, that first soliloquy that he has, it's in Act 1, and it's kind of echoed again, and then to be or not to be. I don't want to live, I don't know what to do, but there's a lot of controversy. You'll have it marked in your book. Some texts say, oh, that this tutu solid flesh would melt, which might make sense. But when you go back to the original quarto, where it's written, of course, Shakespeare never copied anything over, he never made any notes, you can barely read his writing. And this is the case of, oh, that this tutu sullied flesh would melt. Completely changes the meaning of that. And gets, sullied means full of sin, that I have sullied, dirtied this body. How would we have dirtied that body? You've had sex education. So that, if indeed he has been sexually active, then he would feel it sullied flesh. Now, the Folger Library, and I was so glad when Mr. Talton told me y'all were using the Folger edition, because the Folger Library edition, I think the Folger Shakespeare Library is the best in the entire world for bringing in all the researchers about Shakespeare. They say they use the word sullied. Okay. So Hamlet's not very happy, is he? Now, I'm gonna have you turn the text. Let's talk about Ophelia. Have you been out there long? No. I'm so sorry if I didn't see you. Okay. Okay. I want you to turn to scene 2. Scene 2, Act 1, scene 2. Laertes is going back to Paris. And while you're there, I want you to turn to page 39. And Laertes is saying to Ophelia, go to line 6. Do we need some text somewhere?
Yes.
Lots of places. I have one here.
That should be nice.
You need one?
Yeah.
I have one. Mine's up here. So, but this one's been used a lot more. The other one I can barely open.
Oh, wait,
Okay.
kill him.
Okay. All right, 39. We're gonna look at the text. Text, T-E-X-T. Text. Laertes is leaving. Line 6. Before Laertes is leaving, he wants to give his sister some advice. I can just see him shaking his finger at her. Big brother. For Hamlet and the trifling of his favor, that means the little bit of his favor. Hold it a fashion and a toy in blood. In other words, Honey child, he's just hot for you. Toy and blood. He said, she sees you and he gets all excited. A violet, the youth of priming nature, forward not permanent, sweet not lasting. The perfume and suppliance of a minute, no more. Now, he's saying, come on, he's not really, he just got the hots for you right now, because you're here and he's here. And look at Ophelia's answer. No more but so? Think it no more. Next page. Go to line 17. Perhaps he loves you now, but now no soil nor coddle doth disperse the virtue of his will. But you must fear his greatness weighed, that means his high position. His will is not his own. Good Lord, he's the Prince of Denmark. He can't decide who he's going to marry, for he himself is the subject to his birth. He may not, is unvalued, that just means normal people do, carve for himself. Go to line 27. Then if he says he loves you, it fits your wisdom so far to believe it as he in his particular act and place may. But then go to line 33. Weigh what loss your honor may sustain if with too prudent or credible ear you listen to his songs, or lose your heart, or your chaste treasure open. Can you be more specific about what he's advising her not to do? To the unmastered Ophelia, fear it, Ophelia, fear it. Keep you in the rear of your affection. Don't let your love for him lead you. And Ophelia kind of said, oh, okay. And then wonderful Polonius comes in. Go to page 45. We're going to look at line 95. The father, Polonius, comes in. Have you ever heard fathers talking to their daughters about sex? This is interesting. I hadn't heard it too much. What is it, Ophelia, that he had said to you? Please you, something touching on Lord Hamlet. Mary, well bethought, it's told me he had very often of late given private time to you. You've been alone with him, and you yourself have of your audience been most free and bounteous. If it be so, as has been put to me, and thus in way of caution, I must tell you, you do not understand yourself, and it behooves my daughter and your honor. What is between you? Give me up the truth. Now look what Hamlet says. He hath, my lord, of late made many tenders of his affection to me. He's told me he loved me. Ah, affection too. You speak like a green girl, unsifted. Next page. Ophelia says, I do not know, my lord, what I should think. Well, I'll teach you. Think yourself a baby, that you have taken these tenders for true pay, which are not sterling. Tender yourself more dearly. In other words, don't be available to him. Or, and then the second time, she is crossing her father, but my lord, but he had importuned me with love in honorable fashion. Oh, fashion, as you call it. Go to. Third denial. And hath given countenance to his speech, my lord, with almost all the holy vows of heaven. Ah, springes to catch woodcocks. I do know when the blood burns how prodigal the soul and lends to the tongue but vows. He's just trying to get you in bed. He's just trying to catch you like that. He doesn't mean it. Now, then he has said, tender yourself more dearly. Don't go every time he calls. Now, we have some textual proof from up before here in the play, whether or not Hamlet is playing Ophelia for a fool just to get her in bed. And I want us to go back, if you will. I hate to do this to you, but page 29. No, 25, excuse me. I want you to look after he has said, let's look at line. I'm not gonna be this tedious with you, but it's very important that we know this line. Look at line 77, where I just quoted it to you. Aye, madam, it is common. Well, if it be so, why seems it so particular with thee? And Hamlet says, seems, madam? Nay, it is. I know not, seems. 'Tis not alone my inky cloak, good mother, nor customary suits of solemn black, or windy suspiration. Oh, how he forced breath. No, nor the fruitful river in the eye, nor the dejected behavior of the visage, that's the face, together with all the forms, moods, and shapes of grief that can denote them truly. These indeed seem, for they are actions that a man might play. But I have that within which passes show. These but the trappings and the suits of love. Don't talk to me about seams. I don't know how to pretend. I don't know how to put on. What does this indicate? This is talking about his father here. What does it indicate to you about his treatment of a thief? He what? He's not. He's not pretending. Other people might be. Hamlet has just told us, I don't know how to pretend. And he's so upset about this situation, but he started going with Ophelia before this time. And so there's strong textual evidence that he's not pretending. Okay. And then Hamlet, Ophelia does as her father says. And it's like if you have, let's say you have a girlfriend, you've been pretty close to the girlfriend. I'm not going to talk about anybody in particular, just say in general. You have a girlfriend, you've been pretty close to her. Then all of a sudden, when you start texting her or calling her, she doesn't answer. You go by her house. Parents says, oh, she's busy. She can't see you now. And all of a sudden, everything that you thought you had with this person, it seems like she's playing a game with you, does it not? Is there anything that makes you more upset? I thought we really had something. Here you're treating me like a middle schooler. So she, we're gonna go now. She's in her closet. Anytime you talk about closet, it's her bedroom. I want you to go back to we're gonna go to page 79. The top of 79. Polonius has asked her, all right, Ophelia, have you been doing what I asked you to do? Yes, Father. And then she said, well, what's happened? Excuse me. Oh, my Lord, I have been so affrighted. With what in the name of God? My Lord, as I was sewing in my bedroom, Lord Hamlet, with his doublet all unbraced, no hat upon his head, his stockings foul, ungartered, and down here to his ankle, pale as his shirt, his knees knocking each other, and with a look so piteous in purport as if he had loosed out of hell. To speak of horrors, he comes before me. Mad for thy love! My Lord, I do not know, but I fear it. What said he? He took me by the wrist. He took me by the wrist and held me hard. Then he gave, then goes he to the length of all his arm, and with his other hand thus o'er his brow, he falls to such perusal of my face as he would draw it. Long stay, he said, okay, I'm not Hamlet, but we're going to pretend I am. He comes in and he takes my hand and he pulls it the length of his arm and he just sits there and looks at him. What do you think he's thinking? Is this what it's come to, after what we had together? And you're playing games with me? Long stayed he so, and at last a little shaking of mine arm, and thrice his head thus waving up and down. He raised a sigh so piteous and profound it did seem to shatter all his bulk and end his being. This done, he lets me go, and with his head over his shoulder turned, he seemed to find his way without his eyes. Come, go with me. I'll go tell the king about that. Okay. Who is the other woman that he feels like has betrayed him? It's his mom. So when he sees Ophelia playing games, he just goes, just he didn't say that. So anyway, he goes, and this is where he has the to be or not to be. It's after being so upset with Ophelia, he's to be or not to be. Is it better to die? Just say, just look. And then Polonius said, he goes to the king. I know what's wrong with Hamlet. I know what's wrong with Hamlet. Come here. He loves my daughter, and she won't return it. And so they're going to hide behind the curtain. There's a lot of hiding behind curtains in here. And he lets loose Ophelia. And after Hamlet has said to be or not to be. And Hamlet comes upon Ophelia. And boy, you've got to know this. You've got to almost memorize what happens here. I mean, I'm not trying to threaten anything. Let's turn to 127. Okay, this is where 127, as all of you have told me, this is your favorite part you can talk about, to be or not to be. But turn, if you will, to 129. A little bit below the middle of the page, Ophelia, it's actually line 95. Hamlet has just finished to be or not to be. 95. Soft you now, the fair Ophelia, nymph in thy orisons, that means prayers, be all my sins remembered. If you're praying for forgiveness for your sins, Ophelia, better include mine also. Again, another textual hint. In thy horizons, be all my sins remembered. Good, my lord. How does your honor for this many a day? How do thank you? My lord, I have remembrances of yours. That means, maybe prom pictures, maybe a ring, maybe something. I have remembrances of yours that I long to redeliver. I pray you now receive them. No, not I. I never gave you aught. My honored Lord, you know right well you did. And with them words of so sweet bread composed, has made the things more rich. Promise rings and their perfume lost, take these again, for to the noble man, rich gifts wax poor when givers prove unkind. Are you honest? My lord. Are you fair? Yes, your lordship. That if you be honest and fair, your honesty shouldn't make no discourse with your beauty. Look at line 124. Now the time gives it proof. I did love you once. Indeed, my lord, you made me believe so. Stop right there. God, can you imagine the power of this scene? Just these two young people. I did love you once. He said, I didn't think so. at this very moment, I want to change the play. I want to have them go into each other's arms. Say, let's forget everybody else. It's just you and me, kid. What we had is so special, we can't give it up. So if I'm the director, and I've seen this done before, see, Shakespeare doesn't give directions about how you're supposed to do it. If I'm the director, I have them sitting there eyeball to eyeball for a good 20 seconds. I did love you once. You made me believe so. You made me believe so. And then we almost forgot this back here, right? So kids, you see, like, see, I told you. And so then Hamlet turns, he looks at her, and he looks back here, and he realizes he's been set up to spy on him, which is even more of a betrayal. So notice his immediate reaction there. Well, you shouldn't have believed me, for virtue cannot so inoculate our old stock, but we shall relish of it. I loved you not. Notice the more deceived. Get thee to a nunnery. Now, nunnery does not necessarily mean the vows of chastity, but it does mean a place where women go to heal, etc. But we think of it. And then he says, at the last of his speech, 140, go thy ways to a nunnery. Where's your father? I at home, my lord. Of course, that's a lie. And Hamlet knows it's him behind the curtain. Well, let the doors be shut upon him that he may play the fool nowhere but in his own house. Ha ha, farewell. So, that is the end of his relationship. Now, I want the reason I'm going to give proof. I think the relationship between, I'm not a Shakespeare scholar, but I've certainly listened to more than my share of Shakespeare scholars. And the textual proof for whether or not, what's the nature of Hamlet and Ophelia's relationship, I want you to turn to page 143. This is the play within a play that you're talking about. Now look at line 115. They're at the play, and Hamlet comes in, and Gertrude, the queen, says, 115, come hither, my dear Hamlet, sit by me. No, good mother. Hamlet takes a place near Ophelia. Do you see that? Lady, shall I lie in your lap? No, my lord. I mean, my head upon your lap. Aye, my lord. Did you think I meant country matters? Now, what's country matters? So you've heard the phrase, a roll of the hay, or so it means, shall we go fool around? Do you think I meant country matters? I think nothing, my lord. It's a fair thought to lie between maids' legs. Now, this is as crude as it can get. This is in public, right? Why would Hamlet say something so crude to Ophelia in public if he had not felt so betrayed by her that maybe she had used him? We don't know. But this is a very unsettling scene when you watch it. Oh God, you're only jig maker. What should a man do but be merry? For look how cheerfully my mother looks, and my father died within 2 hours. Nate is twice 2 months. Oh my goodness, so long. Oh, and they then let the devil wear black, for I wear a suit of sables. I won't mourn him. So he's very, 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 if you will, sarcastic about it. Now, then in Act 4, after Hamlet has killed Polonius and he's been sent away with Rosencrantz and Guildenstern to go to Israel, it's just a made-up deal to get him out of the country so that Claudius can have him killed. Then Ophelia comes in. Let's look at her monologue, 207. time do we have left here, Mr. Crawford?
3
3 minutes? Okay. We're gonna pick up here tomorrow, but I'm not gonna stop here now. But we're gonna start here because I wanna leave you with something that may startle you. And we're gonna go in another direction tomorrow after we finish this. Enter Ophelia, distracted. How now, Ophelia? She says, how should I, your true love, know from another one? By his cockle hat and staff, and his sandals shone. Now, stop just a minute. This is almost a children's song, unless you know that it's a very, very dirty body Garland song. How am I supposed to know my true love? Well, we're talking about his cock and staff, and it's pretty gross. So the key question would be, how in the world would Ophelia, this delicate young girl, know this song? Alas, sweet lady, what imports this song? See, she's upset. Nay, nay, pray you, he is dead and gone, lady, he is dead and gone, and his head a grass green turf, and his head a stone. Nay, but Ophelia, pray you, mark. Larded all with sweet flowers, which was, we wept to the ground, did not go, with true love showers. All right, next page, 2 of them. And this is where I think we get the true metaphor for what's happening. Tomorrow is Valentine's Day, all in the morning betime. And I made it your window to be your Valentine. Then up he rose and donned his clothes and ducked the chamber door. Let in the maid, that our maid never departed more. The king is appalled. Pretty Ophelia! Indeed, without an oath, I'll make an end to it. By guest advice and charity, alike and vie for shame. Young men will do it, if they come to it. By cock, they are to blame. Quoth she, before you tumbled me, you promised me to wed. So what I had done by yonder sons, the downouts come to my bed. So in her subconscious mind, we see a whole lot. She's much more concerned about the guilt here. And we may think that she's pregnant. We don't know, but she has said, we know what we will be. We know what we are, but not what we will be. Again, that's a textual proof. And we will see again tomorrow. We'll talk about more uplifting things.